take democracy as a form of government, you notice that they don't seem to have a clear view, a clear understanding of what it is. And so sometimes we bury the wrong corpse because we don't know. But the same thing we can say about theology. The theology we are speaking of today, we can put it not. I want to correct one thing, that we have various theologies. It's not conflicting, but we should know the theology we apply to given situation. For example, Martin Luther King used liberation theology. And within the Bible, you will see liberation theology, you will see empowerment theology, and we will see other forms of our traditional sacerdotal theologies. And if you confine yourself, biblically speaking, to only one form of theology, you will discover that you have gagged your ministry. You have gagged your ministry. I sometimes say, if you bring some of us to a big church like this, we will fail before we even start. Because all the theology we have been applying it to local and small churches. All our lives we have been dealing with students that we treat like children. And so we are a little bit autocratic, arrogant, dictatorial. My friend, what do you know? Go and do it. I'm telling you. How old are you? When you come to a church like this, you will be struggling to remove that jacket. And the next thing is that they will tell your Baba, the bishop, come and take away that man you brought. Come and carry away your thing. May that not be our portion in the name of Jesus. And so we are coming from a background where every church has its own peculiar existential challenges. The clergy must not evade, must not dodge these challenges. Every church has its own existential challenges. And when we talk about church, we are talking about the people. The people. In Nigeria today, we have poverty, insecurity, killings and evasion, increased debt, unemployment, name them, we all know them. All the above are consequences of chains of causes and effects. One problem creates many other consequences. So, you see, there's killing, Boko Haram killing. It has caused the problem of food crisis because the farmers cannot work. Food crisis itself caused the problem of health. If you are not eating well, you'll be hungry, there will be kwashiorkor, there will be everything. Farmers are not making money. It has created a problem for educating their children. So there is a chain. And again, too, a pastor in that type of community will not be able to pay his or her mission fund. And he has problem with his bishop. So let us not sit back to think that the church can run away from the politics, from the economy, and for the sociology of his community. The church have always been there. What is the social political role of the clergy? I'm happy our fathers that spoke yesterday, some of them have hinted on it with biblical examples. I will just mention two. One, the church must learn to speak truth to power. The church must not be an opposition party in speaking truth to power. It must speak the truth as the truth stands. Two examples surface. Luke 4:16-19. Jesus had a mission in that place. He said, the Spirit of the Lord is upon me because he has anointed me to preach good news to the poor. We spoke about the poor yesterday. He has sent me to proclaim release to the captive, the oppressed. The captive here, I want to use it poetically. There are people who are captives to the economy, captives to their family life, captives to lack of all these things we are counting. the church must find a way to release them, to recovering of sight to the blind, and to set at liberty those who are oppressed, and to claim the acceptable year of the Lord. And so the church should rather be clear and more explicit of its socio-political agenda. And a good way of doing this, and for success to be achieved, is by giving its role a scriptural foundation that is centered on Jesus Christ's mission on earth. If the church do not build this theology on the scripture, then politicians will begin to tell us that we are going into their space. We must justify to our people that it is our mission, it is part of our ministry. You can imagine a church in South Africa, for example. They had apartheid problem, and Desmond Tutu championed it. And after apartheid, he was made the chairman of the Reconciliatory and Truth Commission. The Reconciliation and Truth Commission. Do we have priests, clergymen, that are speaking on behalf of the unemployed? Are we having priests today that are championing minority cause, the oppressed cause? But I can tell you, we have a lot of them who are into endorsements program today. The socio-political role of the clergy are listed. There are so many, but the second one is the social and political education. We must constantly learn to give this new theology relevant education, relevant interpretation. We are teachers. We must understand that we are teachers. So the church has a right to preach against corruption and other social vices. The church could set up bodies that will study the socio-economic decision and policies of government in order to provide better alternatives. This is to enable them make wise political decisions and to properly appraise the policies of government. Let me just give this quotation as we go on. There's Andre Chatfield, and he said the homilies were written in the 16th century as an attempt to get the Church of England to improve its teaching. The quality of education of the preacher of that day, mostly clergy, was not all it might be. And sometimes preachers were more interested in using the pulpit for public arguments than for presenting the gospel. This was so much a problem at the beginning of Elizabeth I's reign that she forbade all preaching for a while, requiring all to use homilies already printed. In today's Church of Nigeria setting, we can take our annual Bible study outline to be a modern version of such printed homilies. Bible study series of the Church of Nigeria, such as that of 2017 that dealt with such topics as healing of the land, are quite instructive. This, I think, is the best way to go. Such studies must not be one-off studies. So, education is very important. Educating our people rightly, built upon the Bible. Now, most of us who use that Bible study series, we saw how our parishioners embraced it because it was speaking to their existential experience. It was speaking to their existential experience. And when we talk about a church that is relevant to the society, this is what we mean. The truth is that you cannot go and preach to somebody that you don't have any relevance for. There was a year in my church we printed calendars. When I saw printed 2-page calendar and distributed it to the community free. And I discovered that each time we go out, they say, oh, St. Paul's, they want to listen to you. At least they want to give you a listening ear, not, I beg, just give me that thing and go and go and go. That is how the church must make itself relevant. But the clergyman have challenges, and I have 3 here. One, receiving the right socio-political education is the first challenge. You cannot give what you don't have. 2, offering the right socio-political education to the people. Having received it, you are well educated in it, you should be able to pass it across to the people without the people branding you as belonging to one candidate or to one political party. Then, having the right analysis of the society's socio-political reality. You should be able to process these things you have and pass it on. The ultimate political decision belongs to the people. You don't tell people, go and vote this way. They will say, because you are Igbo man, because you are Yoruba man. But if they have the right political education and know its relevance, I'm sure they are going to make the right decision. These things are important because of the ethno-religious complexity of Nigeria. And 2, because the status quo will challenge any threat to their power base. If you don't do this thing rightly, you will be tagged an ethnic person, or the man who is in power will come back fighting you. I learned you are preaching against me in your church. And we can avoid that. The challenges and tasks of the clergy training right from our theological colleges and seminary must include courses such as Introduction to Nigerian Constitution. We need to know the constitution we are using. We do courses on marriage, etc. But not many of our parishioners know their rights. For example, why should a state governor say I should not build a church there when there is freedom of worship, etc.? And so, I will not need that much time. There are questions we must answer. For example, how can one explain a democracy where freedom of worship is impeded in some sections of Nigeria in spite of a clear constitutional empowerment of citizens on this? How do we explain the failure of government to protect lives and property to citizens? How do we explain the audacious possession of arms and ammunition by non-state players? These are things that are constitutionally there. The truth is that our brothers in other religion, Islam, they seem smarter than us, even though we have more lawyers. They went to court and secured judgment for wearing of hijab. What have we secured through the legal process for our religion? But we are dominating the legal system. Why should a governor say they should not build a church here? You should not, and we have freedom of religion in our constitution. That is clearly, I'm not a lawyer, but I know that is clearly a breach of our constitutional right. You may think that the church is just making a foray into the socio-political in Nigeria today. For me to establish this fact, I gave 2 examples, and that is in slide 16 and 17. I want to count, when you take all the bishop charges, presidential addresses in our synod, they have always made foray into the socio-political in Nigeria. Take, for example, that of Bishop Peter Adebiyi in 2004, second session of the second synod of the Diocese of Lagos West. And he said, I am not a prophet of doom, but I am an oracle of God. I read so much and I gather information from the media and from thousands of our members who are badly affected by the harsh economic situation. All of us can see with our eyes millions of graduates who have no work. And he listed, students are not happy, graduates are without work, the police are not satisfied, the young members of the force are grumbling, university teachers are agitating, social amenities are broken down, the roads are not adequately maintained, few naira in the hands of people in 2004 are almost worthless because of inflation. Have anything changed today? When you go to the next place, you will see that of Bishop Odedeji. Almost the same thing he counted. In 2019, we were listed again. If somebody complained about inflation, but what did the church do? We didn't provide solution. We didn't find a way out. And we have all the experts. I'll tell you, most of the politicians you see out there, some of them are parishioners. And They will come for Thanksgiving when they win election. But we don't organize retreats for them. If we organize retreat for them in Abuja for all Anglican politicians, and we see anyone that is not there, we know that that one have a different agenda that is not godly. And so the church must begin to do that. There are lessons we must learn from such presidential and Bible study outline. I suggest that we all return to this wonderful literature. I also suggest that these and other proclamations made by our presidents, bishops, and various synods across Nigeria be collated and made Christian socio-political manual. The point is established that the foray into the socio-political by the church is not new. The church has a right to legitimately be part of this space. The reality is that there are countries with Christian political parties. So we have countries, Germany today is ruled by a Christian political party. And they carry the name Christian political party. And so nobody should come and deceive us that the church will initiate a body of eminent scholars and clergymen to be the arrowhead to fashion and drive a Christian socio-political goal. It may come in the form of an NGO that will provide a common umbrella for all Christians socially and economically. So there are ways of protecting, but the final part we are going into is that, are we protecting our socio-political space? 2 points I want to make. We are not organized socio-politically. 2, we have a way of cheapening our platform and offering it to other people that they use against us. You need to, just look at the funeral event of the Queen of England. A place filled with eminent politicians and statesmen. None of them was called. Come, and the microphone was given to the person.